NFL news updates. Cowboys struggles continue. Justin Herbert's high ankle sprain. Myles Garrett day-to-day. The third week of the NFL season is officially in the books, and 5 undefeated teams remain. The Buffalo Bills, who cruised to a dominant win over the Jaguars on Monday night, and all the 3-0 teams that played before them looked the part in different ways this week. The two-time defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs won another nail-biter, this time over the Falcons. The Seahawks battered the Dolphins, who were without Tua Tagovailoa and lost backup quarterback Skylar Thompson to a chest injury. The Vikings blew out the Texans with another brilliant Sam Darnold performance, and the Steelers continued to roll behind a buzzsaw of a defense and an emerging Justin Fields. As for the teams that didn't have a great week, let's dive into the news and stories coming out of Week 3. Do the Cowboys need to start panicking? Sure, they're perhaps the most scrutinized team in the NFL, but when you allow 274 yards on the ground at home, the problems aren't just because the team owner is a media magnet. Dallas' 28-25 loss, that was not as close as the final score indicated, showcased problems on defense that were first brought to light in a 44-19 Week 2 loss to the Saints. When asked about the roster after the game, Jerry Jones said, "I'd like our personnel. Something will need to change for a team allowing a league-worst 185.7 rushing yards per game." Justin Herbert aggravates high ankle sprain. He was first injured in Week 2, but the ankle was dinged again in the Chargers' 20-10 loss to the Steelers. He left the stadium in Pittsburgh wearing a walking boot. On Monday, NFL Network reported that X-rays were negative after the game, and Herbert will continue to be monitored. Taylor Heinicke finished Sunday's game for Lay, who will host the Chiefs in Week 4. Myles Garrett day-to-day with injured foot. The reigning Defensive Player of the Year has missed some recent practice time after aggravating a foot injury, and he's day-to-day after being briefly knocked out of the Browns' 21-15 loss to the Giants. Garrett has 2 sacks in Cleveland's 3 games this season. Steelers still rolling with Justin Fields. Pittsburgh is 3-0 and allowing an NFL-best 229.7 yards per game and 8.6 points per game. The defense has been a brick wall, as most recently evidenced by 5 sacks in a win over the Chargers. The Steelers' quarterbacks are getting headlines, though, after both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields came to Pittsburgh for fresh starts. Fields has been steady through the 3 wins, with just 1 interception and completing more than 73% of his passes. But is that enough to keep the job, with Wilson recovering from a calf injury that knocked him out of the starting spot before week on? Browns star Myles Garrett underwent an MRI today on his foot and ankle, and it came back clean. While it's unclear if he will be able to play next Sunday against the Raiders, that's a good first sign. The Rams will be without star wide receiver Cooper Kupp again this weekend when they take on the Chicago Bears. Falcons coach Raheem Morris explains not calling for TB sneak on 3rd or 4th down at end of loss to Chiefs. The Atlanta Falcons took a tough 22-17 loss at home Sunday night to the Kansas City Chiefs. The defeat was even more painful because Atlanta had an opportunity for the winning score on its final possession. After moving 49 yards to the Chiefs' 13-yard line, the Falcons faced a 4th and 1 to keep the drive alive with 0:58 remaining. However, instead of calling for a quarterback sneak that presumably would have gotten the first down with less than a yard to gain, Atlanta called for an outside run for Bijan Robinson to the left that was smothered by the Chiefs' defense. Robinson lost 3 yards on the play, and the Falcons turned the ball, and the game over on downs.